Have you ever been scrolling online, you see a photo, and you just get that little flicker of doubt, that voice in your head asking, wait, is this even real? Well, with the explosion of generative AI, that feeling isn't so little anymore. It's becoming the new normal. Our very ability to trust what we see and hear online has been shattered. So let's unpack this AI trust crisis and figure out what, if anything, can be done about it. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at how the line between real and fake has gotten so blurry it's almost disappeared. Then, we're going to join the quest for something called provenance and check out the digital fingerprints being built to create it. But we also have to ask the tough question. Is this whole thing just an unwinnable arms race? Finally, we'll explore what a new, bigger framework for trust might actually look like. Okay, so let's dive right into the heart of the problem. Thanks to AI, creating convincing fakes isn't just possible anymore. It's shockingly easy. The line between what's real and what's not has become dangerously simple for just about anyone to cross. This quote from researcher Andre Cassis really hits the nail on the head. The urgency here is off the charts. We're not just talking about funny internet fakes. We're talking about massive, real-world consequences if we completely lose our grip on what's real. I mean, think about it. It wasn't that long ago that fakes were kind of clumsy, right? You could usually spot the bad Photoshop. But that was then. Now we're in the age of AI impersonation. For instance, there was an AI-generated Instagram persona, Baby Doll Archie, that used a real person's face to rake in thousands of dollars from subscribers. The deception now is not just easy and cheap, it's scarily effective. And this isn't some far-off, futuristic problem. The damage is happening right now. We've seen AI-cloned voices used to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars in financial scams. We've seen deepfakes used for political disinformation, like that fake video of President Zelensky surrendering. And a single fake image of an explosion near the Pentagon caused the stock market to actually dip in real time. This isn't a niche tech issue, it's a threat to our money, our safety, and the very fabric of our society. Okay, so with a problem that huge, where do we even start to look for a solution? Well, a huge part of the answer lies in this idea called provenance. You can think of it as a quest to create a reliable made-in label for pretty much everything in the digital world. So this is the big idea, content provenance. It's basically like a birth certificate for any digital file. It aims to create a secure, verifiable history that shows you exactly where an image, a video, or an audio file came from, and every single change that was made to it along the way. The goal is to make a file's history as clear and trustworthy as the history of a famous piece of art. And, this basic idea of authenticating something isn't new at all. It actually goes way back, from physical watermarks in paper over 100 years ago to the first digital watermarks built into video standards back in the 90s. And now, that same core concept is being totally reinvented for the age of generative AI. So how do you actually go about building this new layer of trust? Let's get into the weeds a little and look at the actual technologies being used to create these so-called digital fingerprints that establish that all-important provenance. One of the main tools in the toolbox is digital watermarking. It's an invisible or inaudible signal that gets baked right into AI-generated content. So on the left here, you have a clean audio file. It's got the content and it's got its watermark. But here's the catch. Look at the right. If you do something as simple as play that audio out loud and re-record it with your phone, you can completely destroy the watermark, even if the audio itself still sounds fine. And that is a huge, huge problem. So to stop that digital history from being messed with, people are turning to blockchain. The simplest way to think about it is as a shared public notebook. Once you write something in it, like a photo's origin, it gets locked into a block. Then, each new block gets chained to the last one, creating a permanent record that's almost impossible to secretly change. It's all about creating that permanent, tamper-proof history. And this is where it gets really interesting. When you start combining these technologies, the results get way better. Just look at this chart. Standard AI detection methods, they're decent, right? But look what happens when you combine that secure blockchain record with watermarking. The accuracy for detecting deepfakes jumps to nearly 95%. It shows you right there why a defense that has multiple layers is so important. And make no mistake, this is not just a few small companies tinkering around. This is a massive industry-wide movement. You have these huge coalitions like the C2PA, bringing together the biggest names you can think of in tech and media. We're talking Adobe, Microsoft, the BBC, the New York Times, even camera companies like Nikon. And they are all working together towards a single, open standard for proving content is authentic. But just as a real solution starts to feel within reach, a massive roadblock always seems to pop up. And it makes us ask a really tough question. Is this whole thing just a high-tech, unwinnable arms race? Because these new solutions, they are far from perfect. You know, the initial promise of these new advanced watermarks was incredible. They were designed to be super robust and secure, to survive being cropped, compressed, screenshotted, you name it. For a minute there, it really looked like we might have a permanent fix for identifying AI content. But almost as fast as those defenses were being built, new tools were popping up with one single goal: to tear them right back down. It is the absolute definition of a digital cat and mouse game. Meet Unmarker. It's a tool specifically designed to strip away even the most advanced watermarks, including the ones from giants like Google and Meta. And here's the truly scary part. It doesn't even have to know how the watermark was made. It just hunts down and erases anything that looks like a watermark. And just like that, the arms race is right back on. And this chart just puts the sheer scale of the challenge into perspective. In these major data sets used for AI training, look at those green bars, the fake images. They absolutely dwarf the number of real ones. We are just being flooded with synthetic content, which makes the idea of finding and checking every single watermark an almost impossible task. So, if technology by itself can't win this fight, where do we go from here? Well, the answer has to be bigger than just writing better code. We need a whole new framework for trust. One that pulls together technology, policy, ethics, and frankly, all of us. One of the biggest problems is that there's no single global game plan. As you can see here, the major world powers are all running in different directions. The EU is building this very comprehensive, risk-based system. The US is taking a much more voluntary, industry-by-industry approach. And China is focused on a state-controlled model. This global patchwork quilt of rules makes creating one reliable standard for trust incredibly difficult. So what does a better path actually look like? Well, experts are pointing to a few key lessons. First, we need to shift the conversation away from is it AI and towards was there consent? We need to build human rights and ethics into these tools from day one, not as an afterthought. And this last one is critical. We all need to get better at media literacy. Because knowing where an image came from doesn't actually prove that it's telling you the truth. And all of this leaves us with the most fundamental question for our shared digital future. Technology can give us tools, but it can't give us truth. Building a new foundation of trust is going to take a collective effort from everybody, from developers, from regulators, and from all of us. Because when seeing is no longer believing, the responsibility to question, to verify, and to think critically, that falls squarely on our shoulders.